Some AI SaaS ideas seem so cool and so obvious and easy to build that it almost feels seductive. When you were playing around with the latest releases of the most powerful AI models, or you tried creating your first AI automation workflow, your mind was blown. You got the perfect idea for an AI SaaS you could build, and maybe it felt crystal clear to you how you would build it and how you would take it to market. But be careful. Some of these ideas seem deceptively obvious, but in reality, they are ideas that with overwhelming certainty will set you up for a massive failure. I get DMs from people pitching me their SaaS ideas all the time. And there are 5 AI SaaS ideas I see over and over. They are ideas that I would avoid at all costs. And in this video, we'll break it down. If you're new to this channel, welcome here. I'm Simon Højberg and I run a portfolio of AI SaaS products to handle social media, link tracking, customer support, and graphics design. My team and I brainstorm, prototype, and test various new SaaS ideas every year. And whenever we see a new idea falling into a category that comes too close to these 5 AI SaaS we're about to discuss, we reject them immediately. And I believe you should do the same. The first AI SaaS I would stay far away from is AI copywriters. And the reason is simple. The market is flooded with them already. Since GPT-3 launched back in 2022, we are now seeing the low barrier to entry really play out here. Some of the first movers like Copy AI and PepperType really made it big here, but at this point, the market is super saturated. It's very easy to spin up a new AI copywriter, and if all you do is wrap OpenAI's API, your tool will do basically the same as all others. It might look like a low-hanging fruit, and it certainly takes very little effort to get up and running, but in my opinion, it will be incredibly hard to stand out if you go down this path. The result is a race to the bottom on pricing, and it's probably one of the markets with the highest churn rates out there. Also, I've noticed this thing. I've seen several big influencers, especially on LinkedIn, who now all ship the same AI copywriters. And frankly, I think it's starting to look a little bit silly. It seems to be a bit of a playbook these guys are all doing now, and it just smells a little bit like a cash grab. Of course, I'm not the one to judge, and maybe I just don't see what's going on behind the scenes, but I fail to see how these copywriters provide something that any standard LLM like ChatGPT or Gemini don't already provide. I think an AI copywriter is a great feature in a bigger product. Like, we have an excellent AI copywriter in FeedHive, which is a social media management tool my team and I run. But it is just one out of many features that make up an AI-powered marketing tool. As a standalone product, I'd stay far away. Next one on the list is AI coding tools. You know, tools similar to Cursor and Windsurf. I would stay far away from this market as a bootstrap founder. And now you're probably thinking, wait a minute. Those tools are AI-powered and they have product market fit and they're very successful. Yes, you're right. But there's one very important thing we need to consider about these tools. A huge part of what makes Cursor so attractive isn't necessarily how it codes, but how much it offers at a rather cheap price. If you take a look at a tool like Klein, which is an open source VS Code extension where you bring your own API key and compare what you get for your money on Cursor, you will quickly realize that the average Cursor user is very likely losing money for Cursor. One of the most significant challenges in building anything with AI is the way LLM API providers structure their pricing. The cost is directly proportional to the consumption of the tool, meaning the more users interact with your app, the higher your expenses climb. So a successful active user base, which normally should be a cause of celebration for a bootstrap company, suddenly becomes a pretty hectic financial liability. And if your product is aggressively consuming AI, you will have a business model that bleeds cash as the business grows. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but we just have to remember that tools like Cursor is heavily backed by top-tier investment funds. They have substantial financial backing, allowing them to absorb these extreme operational losses as a trade-off to get to market dominance. That's their game. It's a classical VC hypergrowth startup. And as a bootstrap founder, that's who you're competing with. It's not really about building the best product, it's about who can afford bleeding the most cash. And I would stay far away. Alright, third AI SaaS I wouldn't touch is AI therapists. So at first glance, the idea of having an AI-based therapist might sound like a cool idea. Like having a portable, on-demand therapist right in your pocket. The value prop is pretty obvious. And there's actually a lot of data showing that many people now use ChatGPT as a therapist-like chatbot to give insights and offer emotional support. But in reality, this idea is a complete ethical shit show. There are countless ways this could go horribly wrong, and I'd like to highlight just a few. Back in March 2023, a man from Belgium ended his life. In the weeks leading up to his death, he'd been talking to this highly advanced AI chatbot called Eliza on the Chai app. And according to the man's wife, the chatbot encouraged the man to end himself by convincing him that he could save the planet by sacrificing himself. Another recent example is from the National Eating Disorders Association in the US. In 2023, they had to take down their AI chatbot Tessa, which was giving users with eating disorders harmful suggestions such as restricting calories and losing weight. Literally, the whole purpose of the chatbot was to do the exact opposite of that. And of course, I don't think that we can necessarily say that these chatbots are the cause of these bad things happening. These people may have suffered from trauma, depression, or psychosis before entering the chat, and by the end of the day, it's the person's choice to act on the advice they're given. However, if your AI therapist somehow got into the middle of a case like this, it's just way too much to handle if you're a small bootstrap founder or an indie hacker. I remember Peter Levels, who is one of the most well-known and well-respected indie hackers, started working on an AI therapist too, but quickly wrapped up the project due to pushback from his audience, which I absolutely believe was the right choice. Stick to products that are much more non-critical by nature. Anything that has to do with people's health, both physically and mentally, I would stay far away from. The next one on the list is AI detectors. The sales pitch is pretty simple. Before you publish a piece of content that was written by AI, you should run it through a detector so it can detect the parts that look like AI. And then you can tweak that manually and Google won't know that you used AI. Or even better, some of the more advanced tools actually do this rewriting for you, so you can kind of cloak your content a little so it doesn't look like it was written by AI. I think tools like these have at least 3 major flaws. First of all, a tool like this isn't offering a solution to the right problem. Google is very clear about this. The problem is not using AI to write the content. The problem is low quality, spammy content clearly made to manipulate search rankings. Even if one of these detectors concludes that your content is not written by AI, it might still get deranked because the quality simply isn't high enough. Secondly, AI detector tools like this are basically boiling the cat and mouse game down to a third-party SaaS tool. You don't have access to Google's algorithms, and you probably shouldn't build your business by attempting to play a game of cat and mouse with Google where you have to constantly guess how their internal systems work. And finally, tools like these are probably going to make your content much worse. Trying to patch up a piece of content that is already written is a terrible idea. If anything, you should build a tool or a service that aims to write great, high-quality content with AI to begin with. Again, Google doesn't mind if AI was used as long as it's good and helpful content. There are a few tools out there doing exactly this already, and I actually have a video where I show you how to build a custom workflow for this in N8N. I'll leave a link in the description below. So an AI detector tool, especially used for SEO, is something I would stay away from. The final AI SaaS I would avoid is AI summarizers. The thought of having an AI that can read through, digest, and summarize hours of meetings or endless email threads in your inbox does seem like a really useful problem to solve. And the truth is, it has been solved many times already. This one kind of goes down the same bucket as AI copywriters, but in a sense, I think this one is even worse. An AI summarizer is no longer a product. It's become a feature. And not just any feature, but an aggressively integrated and completely free feature that now sits natively in all major productivity and platform ecosystems. Anyone using Google Workspaces are getting their emails summarized, covered in one click, natively and for free. Meetings are automatically summarized, and every Google Meet call generates a meeting recap with key action items. Also, you'd have to overcome an enormous trust barrier in order to get adoption. To gain access to every email in the customer's inbox, including sensitive and private emails, and every meeting in every employee's calendar, including private or internal conversation, it's not just something companies hand over to any small bootstrap company. And I know there's a whole debate around this, but generally speaking, users do trust Google or Microsoft with this data already. Personally, I wouldn't want to compete here. So these are 5 AI SaaS ideas I would stay far away from. On the other hand, there is this super simple approach to unlocking thousands of potential micro SaaS ideas that are worth building. And I don't often hear people talk about this. If you're curious about this approach, go watch this video next. I will see you over there.